Last December, Geoffrey Hinton was awarded the Nobel Prize for his pioneering work in machine learning, a major turning point on the road to artificial intelligence. Brooke Silva Braga introduced us to this leading figure in AI back in 2023 and recently went back to visit him. Good morning, Brooke.
Good morning. When we first met Hinton, the world had just been introduced to OpenAI's ChatGPT, triggering a kind of AI arms race. Hundreds of billions have been spent on AI in just the last 2 years. Hinton entered the field decades before it was cool, and now, retired from Google, has a unique, independent perspective on how we got here and where we're headed.
This is a Nobel Prize.
Last year, Geoffrey Hinton, for most of his life an outcast professor, was awoken by a call in the middle of the night. He was getting the Nobel Prize.
People dream of winning these things, and when you do win it, does it feel like you thought it might?
I never dreamt about winning one for physics, so I don't know. I dreamt about winning one for figuring out how the brain works.
Yeah.
But I didn't figure out how the brain works. But I won one anyway.
That's because Hinton's attempt to model the brain instead helped change the world. In 1986, he proposed using a neural network to predict the next word in a sequence, the foundational concept that today's large language models
It's an expert at everything.
have built upon.
You believed then that we would get here?
Yes, but not this soon.
Because that was 40 years.
I didn't think we'd get here in only 40 years.
Yeah.
But 10 years ago, I didn't believe we'd get here.
Yeah, it happened fast.
Yeah.
That speed, Hinton says, means education and medicine will soon be transformed. Climate change could be solved. But mostly, the rapid progress really worries him.
The best way to understand it emotionally is we're like somebody who has this really cute tiger cub. It's just such a cute tiger cub. Unless you can be very sure that it's not going to want to kill you when it's grown up, you should worry. I'm kind of glad I'm 77.
Hinton predicts AI will make authoritarians more oppressive and hackers more effective. He now spreads his money across 3 banks. The exact odds of an AI apocalypse are unknowable, he says, but hazards this guess: a 10 to 20% risk AI will take over from humans.
People haven't got it yet. Yeah. People haven't understood what's coming. I don't think there's a way of stopping it to take control if it wants to. The issue is, can we design it in such a way that it never wants to take control, that it's always benevolent?
Those concerns have long been shared by other AI leaders. Google CEO Sundar Pichai.
It can be very harmful if deployed wrongly.
Ex-AI's Elon Musk, who continues to call for regulation.
It has the potential of civilizational destruction.
Sam Altman, seen here before he became OpenAI's CEO.
I think AI will probably, most likely, sort of lead to the end of the world.
But now, as these companies race each other and compete with China, Hinton worries they're foolishly, selfishly, putting all of humanity at risk.
If you look what the big companies are doing right now, they're lobbying to get less AI regulation. There's hardly any regulation as it is, but they want less, because they want short-term profits.
Taking a stand against the establishment has been the hallmark of Hinton's life. When American AI funding required partnering with the Defense Department, he moved to Canada. When neural networks were laughed at as unworkable, he worked on them for a few decades more.
Is that a certain thing in a person?
Yeah. You have to be contrarian.
Yeah.
You have to have a deep belief that everybody else could be doing things wrong and you could figure out how to do them right.
Any idea where that came from?
My family, partly. Yeah. My father was like that. That's him there.
Hinton's legendary family tree includes not just his father, the prominent entomologist, but further back, George Boole, whose algebra innovations paved the way for computing, and George Everest, the surveyor who found the height of the world's tallest peak, then had it named after him.
So it hit there.
Hinton's inheritance was a curious mechanic's mind.
Were you always interested in this kind of stuff, the way
Yeah.
things work and how to fix them?
Absolutely. I loved it.
When one of our cameras fell, damaging a lens filter, Hinton wanted to fix it.
But this kind of tinkering, was this desire important to your work, or is this just a
Yes.
hobby?
No, this is a similar thing. When I would make neural net models on the computer, I would then tinker with them for a long time to find out how they behaved. And a lot of people didn't do much of that, but I loved tinkering with them.
Okay.
I remember with Ilya, we used to watch it learning, and we would have bets for like 25 cents on who could predict the new score best.
Ilya Sutskever, Hinton's most famous protege, went on to be chief scientist at OpenAI.
To just set up a large neural network, which is a large digital brain.
In 2023, he was part of the group that pushed out CEO Sam Altman, reportedly because they didn't trust that Altman was prioritizing safety.
I was quite proud of him for firing Sam Altman, even though it was very naive.
Naive, Hinton says, because OpenAI employees were about to get millions of dollars that would be jeopardized by Altman's departure. Altman returned, Sutskever left. Hinton criticizes his former colleagues at Google more reluctantly, but says they're falling short too.
Were you disappointed when Google went back on its promise not to support military uses of AI?
Very disappointed.
But it's part of a pattern, Hinton says, adding Meta and xAI to the list of companies racing faster than they should.
For example, the fraction of their computer time they spend on safety research should be a significant fraction, like a third. Right now, it's much, much less.
Hinton, now on the AI sidelines, says government regulation is needed, but doesn't expect it soon.
I'm curious if just in your normal day-to-day life you despair. You fear for the future and assume it won't be so good.
I don't despair, but mainly because even I find it very hard to take it seriously.
Huh.
It's very hard to get your head around the fact that we're at this very, very special point in history where in a relatively short time, everything might totally change. A change of a scale we've never seen before. It's hard to absorb that emotionally.
We asked the AI labs mentioned in the piece how much of their compute is used for safety research. None of them gave us a specific number, but all have said safety is important, and they support regulation in general, but they've mostly opposed regulations that have come up before lawmakers so far.
Did he indicate which sector the breach might technically happen?
Well, like he says, he's already worried about banks. He thinks banks are going to be a target. He has spread his money across different banks.
Oh, wow. All right. It's a little scary, Brooke, but great reporting. Thank you so much.
A lot
Did you get
scary.
the lens fixed on the camera?
The lens is fixed.
All right. Nobel Prize winner in action.
Shalom. Welcome to another video. And as always, before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, or Wadash, and next double honors to the head apostles / elder bishops of the great millstone who teach and who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to all you sincere Akim. Keep pushing, keep believing, and keep the faith, regardless of whether people hear and whether they forbear. All right, so this is going to be a reaction to the news clip that I put in the introduction of this video. It's lucky that it was so long, okay, but he was bringing out some good points. Okay, this guy is a pioneer within the artificial intelligence domain, and he's saying that he doesn't think the world is really prepared for this AI technology. Okay, so he's insinuating that that there could be dangerous consequences. All right, and this is really like the plot to the Terminator or one of those apocalyptic movies where technology takes over, and pretty much he's saying that could very well happen. That you have to try to figure out how to train the technology to be smart, but not so smart that it takes over humans. Okay, so all right, this is pretty much a part of Esau's destruction that he's getting ready to bring. Okay, is his technology. We always go into that because when we talk about Jacob's trouble, all right, Jake doesn't understand that Esau has weapons, okay, that we don't know about. All right, they don't understand that Esau has technology that pretty much are going to make it impossible for you to escape unless you have divine intervention. And that's the main point that I want to focus on. Okay, So once again, emphasizing the fact that we are not able to overcome these advanced technological weapons through our flesh. All right, but with spiritual power, okay, they are no match for us, because when the time comes, all right, the Spirit of the Lord is going to raise up a standard against Esau. So let's go ahead and dive into this topic. All right, Yahweh righteous I mean the Heavenly Father's will. It's edifying to the elect. I'm going to start off in Daniel 12:1. Okay, and this portion of the chapter is entitled The Time of the End. All right, it says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book." Okay, and part of that AI technology is part of the reason why there's going to be a time of trouble never before seen on the earth. It says, "And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to everlasting shame and contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever." Here's a point in verse 4. "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end." That's one way how we know that we're coming into that time, is that the prophecies have been unlocked. All right, but listen to this. "Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." That's on the right-hand side and on the left-hand side. Okay, on the right-hand side, this word is going forth, all right, making our people wise unto salvation. But on the left-hand side, all right, what do we have? We have Esau with his devices and his inventions, okay, which that's going to be, you know, a part of him coming in having great wrath, okay, which we'll get that next. All right, let's go to Revelation 12:12. All right, it says, "Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." Okay, you see that? So Esau, that's who he's talking about when it says the devil is coming unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. He knows his kingdom is coming to a close. So he thinks that if he has enough time to, you know, reach advanced levels of technology, that he can become a god on the earth. All right, you have you all know Harari talking about genetically modifying humans. Okay, they're saying, he said that humans are now a pretty much biotechnology that you can hack. Okay, he said you can hack the human body now. You can change genes, all kind of different things. Okay, this is a part of him coming down having great wrath. He has the blessing of the sword in the left hand, and his left hand knowledge and technology is being increased. Okay, and they're going to use all these technologically advanced weapons on Jake in this day of Jacob's trouble. Okay, robot dogs, you know, biochemical weapons, etc., etc. All right, so this is part of him coming down having great wrath. Okay, and it's going to be so bad that if the Lord did not shorten the time, no flesh would survive. All right, this is Mark 13:20. It says, "And except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days." Okay, so what does that tell you? Once again, as it said in Daniel 12:1, a time like never before on the earth. All right, but for the elect, okay, the Lord is going to lift up a standard. All right, and that's going to be certain men receiving spiritual power, the angels being down here. Okay, him once again performing supernatural, miracles on behalf of the elect. All right, this is Isaiah 59:19. It says, "So shall they fear the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, which is the east. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai shall lift up a standard against him." Okay, so the spirit of the Lord is what is going to deliver us, all right, from this time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, of Esau, the devil the Bible speaks of coming down having great wrath. All right, and this next few verses I want to get in the ESV, the English Standard Version. Okay, Isaiah 30 and I'm going to read verses 15 through 17 in the ESV. All right, it says, "For thus saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and in trust shall be your strength. But you were unwilling." Okay, so like I said, a lot of Jakes, man, you think that you're going to overcome it by going and buying AKs, going to the shooting range and all that. That's not going to matter. Okay, when they have, robot dogs chasing you down, Okay, heat sensor guided missiles, okay, whatever it is. You're not going to be able to overcome that just because, you have a little pea shooter, you got a, 4.5 or, okay, a pistol or whatever, even a shotgun, don't matter. You're not going to be able to overcome these things by your carnal weaponry, okay, because you're not going to be able to beat Esau with his own blessing, all right? You have to, the Spirit of the Lord is what's going to raise up a standard, and it's spiritual, all right? So I'm reading this one more time, Isaiah 30:15, the ESV. For thus saith Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and rest, ye shall be saved. And in quietness and trust will be your strength. But you were unwilling. And you said, no, we will flee upon horses. Therefore you shall flee away. And we will ride upon swift steeds. Therefore your pursuers shall be swift. Okay, so you try to escape through carnal methods, you're going to be captured. Okay, he's going to make sure that the ones who chase you down are, faster, stronger than you are. Okay, and why is that? Because what's getting ready to happen is the judgment of the Lord. It's Esau coming down having a great wrath, but it's the left hand of the Heavenly Father, okay, that is controlling him to do these things, man, to punish the rebellious of our people. It says, 1,000 shall flee at the threat of one. At the threat of 5 you shall flee, till you are left like a flagstaff on the top of a mountain, like a signal on a hill. Okay, so you're going to be, these 2/3 getting deleted is going to be a sign, okay, of those who did not put their trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right, they're going to be, once again, made an example out of. All right, let's go back. Let's get Psalms 44:6. All right, and it says, for I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. Okay, and the guy in the video, he said that the people of the world are not prepared for what is coming down the pipeline. They're not prepared for, warfare with AI, okay, involved. All right, but once again, our bow and our sword is not going to save us. The Spirit of the Lord will do it, and specifically the name. Okay, let's get an example out of the scriptures. All right, 1 Samuel 17 and verse 45. This is the account of when King David went against Goliath, which Goliath was an enemy that, from a carnal perspective, would have seemed to be unbeatable. Okay, but the Spirit of the Lord is what destroyed him. 1 Samuel 17:45. Then said David to the Philistine, talking about Goliath, thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, power of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God, a power in Israel. Okay, so he didn't, he said, I come to you. You come with a sword and a shield and a spear. I come to you, all right, in the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and I'm gonna take your head off. Okay, he had that much faith. Okay, when once again he was a kid at the time going up against a mighty warrior that was a giant. All right, and he trusted in the name of the Lord, and he ended up taking his head off with his own sword. Okay, and it's gonna be the same thing. The elect that overcomes is gonna overcome, all right, because the Lord is with him fighting the battle. All right, this is Psalms chapter 60 and verse 9. Who will bring me into the strong city, and who will lead me into Edom? Will not thou, O power, which hadst cast us off, and thou, O Yahweh, which didst not go out with our armies? Give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man. Through the Most High we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies. See that? Okay, and what does it start with? It starts off with calling on his name. All right, Psalms 124 and verse 8. All right, and it reads, it says, our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth. Okay, and we'll get this last couple Psalms chapter 9 and verse 9. It says, the Lord also will be the refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee, for thou, Yahweh, hast not forsaken them that seek thee. Okay, those that know his name, all right, the faith-based Israelites, okay, as people like to call us, Great Millstone, okay, those that know his name, the main camp that pushes his true name in the Paleo-Hebrew tongue, the heaviest. All right, which that name is essential for salvation. Let's go ahead and close out with Psalms 91st chapter. It says, I'm going to start from the top of verse 1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My power, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. See that? It says, only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made Yahweh, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. Didn't say that He's going to give you a rocket launcher. Okay, it said He's going to send His angels to keep charge over thee, just like we read in Daniel 12:1. It says, they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lyre, the lion, and the adder. The young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Okay, and that's both talking about Esau. All right, which I'm not going to go into it, but I can break that down. Verse 14, here's the point though. Listen to this. It says, because He hath set His love upon me, therefore I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. All right. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and shew him my salvation. Okay. So once again, all right, as the genius, the AI genius guy said, okay, Bill Nye the science guy, he said that the world is not ready, okay, for what's coming with this artificial intelligence, right? But okay, those that are the hopeful elect, we're ready for anything. Okay, we're more than conquerors, all right, through Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai who loved us. Okay, so that's it. Just, exhortation, exhorting you, all right, once again, to understand that you're not going to overcome Jacob's trouble, the great tribulation, okay, the enemy coming in like a flood. You're not going to overcome it, all right, through what? Through weapons, through guns, rocket launchers, knives. You're going to overcome it through the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and the spiritual power that is going to be endowed on the men of Yasharallah, specifically of the elect. Okay, but that's it. Heavenly Father's will is edifying. As always, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai B'Hashem Rach. And until next time, Shalom and abide b'ball.